I never imagined the day would come when my parents would tell me I wasn't welcome in my own home. My name is Emily, and for as long as I can remember, I had always been the perfect daughter. I got good grades, never argued, and did everything my parents wanted. I thought love meant obedience. But everything changed the day I turned 22. It started with a phone call from my mom. "Emily, we need to talk," she said. Her voice trembled in a way that immediately made my stomach knot. I rushed home from my part-time job expecting a simple conversation. I didn't expect to hear the words that would shatter my life. "You're not welcome here anymore." At first, I thought she was joking. Maybe it was some kind of twisted prank. But when I looked at my dad, I realized they were serious. They claimed I had betrayed the family, but they wouldn't give me details. My heart was pounding, my mind spinning. Everything I had done, every sacrifice I had made, seemed meaningless in that moment. I had no one to turn to. My friends were supportive, but they couldn't take me in. My bank account was nearly empty, and I had no plan, no direction. I felt like a leaf blown by a storm, completely lost and alone. For weeks, I slept on couches, sometimes in my car, surviving on whatever little money I could earn. I tried calling my parents, begging for answers, but they refused to talk. One night, as I walked through the city streets under a light drizzle, I realized something. I couldn't live my life waiting for them to change their minds. If they didn't want me, I would have to create my own family, one that loved me for who I was. I started small. I reached out to coworkers, old friends, even neighbors. I discovered people who were kind, who listened, who cared without judgment. Slowly, I began building connections that were more like family than the blood I had been forced to abandon. It wasn't easy. I had to learn how to cook for myself, pay my own bills, and face the crushing loneliness that came with being cut off from my family. But with every challenge, I grew stronger. I began to see that my parents' rejection, painful as it was, forced me to become the person I had always been capable of being. Months passed. I moved into a small apartment and started a job that I actually enjoyed. I met people who would become my chosen family, people who celebrated my successes, comforted me in my failures, and accepted me without conditions. Yet a part of me still wondered, why? Why had my parents turned their backs on me? And deep down, I held on to the hope that I would understand. Then one evening, I received a letter in the mail. It was from my father, and what it contained changed everything I thought I knew about my family, my past, and even myself. The letter from my father was short, but every word cut deeper than I had expected. "Emily, we made a mistake. Please forgive us. We thought we were protecting you, but we were wrong. Come home if you're ready." I stared at the words for a long time, my hands shaking. My first instinct was relief, a chance to return to the life I had lost. But something inside me hesitated. In the months since they had thrown me out, I had built a life of my own. I had created a home filled with love, care, and laughter. A family that had chosen me as much as I had chosen them. Could I really go back to the parents who had rejected me, even if they now said they were sorry? I thought about my apartment, the friends who had supported me through my darkest nights, the small rituals that had become my new normal. Sunday brunches, late-night movie marathons, the feeling of coming home to people who truly understood me. I realized that my heart had already chosen its path. I decided to respond, but not the way they expected. I thanked them for their letter, but I made it clear. I had found my family. I had found people who loved me unconditionally, and while I might someday forgive them, I would no longer let their mistakes define me. It wasn't easy. Even though I had grown stronger, letting go of the hope that my parents would change was painful. I cried for days, mourning the family I thought I would always have. But with each tear, I felt lighter, freer, more myself. Over the next year, my life transformed in ways I hadn't dared imagine. I became closer to my chosen family than I had ever been to my own blood relatives. We celebrated birthdays, holidays, and milestones together. I even started mentoring young women who had faced rejection and hardship, sharing my story to help them realize that family isn't just about who gave birth to you. It's about who stands by you most. One night, as I sat on my apartment balcony watching the city lights twinkle, I thought about the journey I had been through. I had gone from being a scared, abandoned young woman to someone who could stand on her own, build meaningful relationships, and love herself for the first time in her life. I realized that my parents' rejection, as cruel as it had been a turning point. It forced me to face life head-on, to find my own strength, and to understand that love, real love, is something you choose, not something you are owed. And as I looked out over the city, I whispered to myself, I built my family. I built my life. And this time, it's mine. Completely mine. From that day on, I knew that no matter what challenges came my way, I would never again depend on anyone else to define my worth. I had found my place in the world. My heart was full, my family was real, and for the first time, I felt truly at home.